partner at New Enterprise Associate or NEA. And we joined NEA in 2014 and is a partner focused on enterprise technology investment. He has served as
financial services. That also poses a lot of problem for them. Next. So we decided to build an ecosystem where we can showcase some of our business model. So we started our own Tada riding business with zero commission. And we also started our electric vehicle business together with the energy infra. And as a blockchain company, we have DeFi business to support those communities. Next. Yeah, so Tada, one more page. Yeah, we are not just but we are also building our own station because without charging infrastructure, there's no way we can sell or the drivers can use EVs. So we are building stations and we adopted the swap battery model. So we came up with this station light model. Next page. we meet the basic requirement to get the loan, although the price is not too high. But we are interested now about like 40 vehicles with our crypto-based model. But this is also very unique because other crypto-based, a lot of the time they are just working online, but
along with powered with a SaaS-based AI platform, which helps businesses adopt sustainability end-to-end. What the platform does is builds awareness, helps them go through the entire process of building sustainability roadmap to the reporting. We help them do their improvement programs like energy transition. All of them is a DIY on the same platform, and it's pretty intuitive for them to work on it. This is a typical customer profile for us. We work with large enterprises, and as well as, we work with small and medium enterprises, but are open to work with custom solutions for large enterprises. Just to handhold this entire process, because as good as our platform is, people do not understand materiality, people do not understand what sustainability is, and they always come back not performing as good on the platform. And therefore, we had to start our consulting services to help them do their ESG evaluations, to help them do stakeholder management. We also provide them remote teams to work on this if they do not have dedicated team members. We have marketplace where solution providers can work with them, with the enterprises free of cost. We do not interfere in that. We have investor solutions where investors can actually have a view of how their portfolio is performing on these ESG aspects. We have investor solutions where they can get their own portfolio assessment done, their own SDG scorecard for their own fund life cycle. We work with businesses on all maturity levels of sustainability, whether it is from minimalistic regulatory compliance up to the where they can actually leverage sustainability for their business. Market size.
Okay, time's up. How's the judges? Can she continue?
30 seconds for you too.
Sure. We have a multi-billion dollar market size, where if we keep growing at the pace we are headed to be a unicorn soon. This is our go-to-market strategy. I'll skip this. We have been growing 5x to 6x times each year, and we plan to continue to do that for the next few years. Quick recognitions. I'm part of Young Sustainability Innovator at United Nations Global Compact. I was also given the Startup of the Year award last year. And we are listed as 50 startups who work on the Gandhian philosophy. Thank you so much.
Big applause to Fundera Technologies PVT Ltd from India. Now we have 3 minutes to hear the questions from the judges. Julia, this is your time.
Thank you very much for this interesting presentation. So you said that you target MSMEs. We know very well that MSMEs are small companies. They are often very busy because they have a very small team. They don't have resources. Sometimes, they have limited budget. Give us a couple of examples of how you chase actively them and you convince them that they desperately need your services. Two concrete examples.
How you change? Can you repeat that word?
You chase them. How do you chase them and convince them in a very concrete way?
Sure. So thank you again for asking the question, Julia. We work with MSMEs where we make them understand that the kind of work we do for them is not just superficial. We help them understand it's more about risk assessment and de-risking their business so they become more investable and dependable for their customers. We work with their suppliers on and help them understand this is important for business continuity. We are not talking about some fancy world. This is about what are you dependent on. And I'll give you a quick example. One of our small businesses had to go through a fire accident. They happened to just sign up an investor. Now the investor was like, okay, go get your insurance, fire accident insurance. They had not done their assessment enough to get complete coverage. Their coverage was poor. And this was such a minute thing. Nobody really cared to really check if the coverage was 100%, what was the percentage. And this business lost all its machinery. This was a small business, and all its machinery couldn't get the required amount back. And this is an example of how a good ESG due diligence at the start would have just noticed this very, very easily, that your coverage is poor on insurance. So we kind of help them understand it's about business and long-term sustainability. It's not about short-term financial metrics. So that's our business case that we take them to. I hope that answers.
Thank you.
You still have 1 minute more to add anything?
So my background is I'm a computer science engineer. We're trying to leverage technology to solve this problem. So while we have to start consulting because people don't understand this part, but for small and medium-sized businesses, I think leveraging technology and a common solution which can be scaled up globally is the way to go. They cannot possibly afford consultants sitting on their shop floor all the time. That's not the solution they should be looking for. So if anybody wants to talk about sustainability to the SMEs, startups in their region, please suggest them any technology solution that they could adhere to, which would be easier on them to adopt. That will be all. Thank you.
Okay, big applause for Fundero Technologies. And thank you, judges. Now the audience will have 1 minute to scan and decide in the QR code on the screen. Fundero allows enterprises to capture their sustainability-related risks and opportunities. Another great idea, certainly deserve the best score from all of you. Last 15 seconds. Okay, time's up. Next, we'd like to invite Surya Daya Indonesia. Waktu dan tempat dipersilahkan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for your time. My name is Eka. I'm the founder of Surya. I'm here with my co-founder, Philip. So maybe I'll just quickly run through Surya's deck. Let's go next. So the problem with Indonesia's solar industry right now is that it's actually lagging its entire Southeast Asia markets. We only have about 150 megawatts today, as of today, in the land, the sunny sun, and Bali and everything, right? Why? Because actually the government is very concerned about having too much renewable inside the ecosystem. So they're actually clamping it down, and actually the structure of the PLN makes it more towards fossil fuel. So what we're trying to do is actually we're trying to push it towards more distributed grid, because their concerns of low intermittency as well as the dark curve could have been solved by actually the distributed generation path. And we really today delivered about 50 megawatts out of the land of 150, and that would make us closer towards the 3 gigawatts target. So how do we actually do it? Because how do we get actually the private companies to actually sign up for solar? Because solar is actually very high capex upfront. So what we have to do is actually we have to come up with this structure called the Surya lease, where the customers doesn't have to put up any money upfront. They just pay for electricity that is cheaper than PLN. And mind you, the PLN tariff is actually already subsidized. So we are actually going against subsidized tariff. But rest assured, I'm actually making money on this. I have a loan from Permata Bank, commercial loan, 7 years loan, 7 years tenor, and we're making good spread around it. Then your next question will be like, okay, that's good, but you need a lot of working capital. So that's where we actually structured as actually a fintech. So Surya, we actually aggregate global investors who actually want to get exposure to renewable energy, good fixed income investment, kind of like a basically a solar power plant, basically, right? And we actually match it up together with like the small, medium-sized tickets. Our average ticket size would go somewhere about $100,000 to about $500,000. And the global investors that we actually work with, typically they fork out $20 million and above. Because that's actually the ticket size that gets power companies actually excited to invest in this kind of sector. So our target market, we don't go for the whole space for the time being. We still focus on the CNI target, what we call a commercial and industrial, starting from multinational companies and export-oriented companies for the time being, but moving towards domestic-oriented companies, hopefully, and actually helping to move towards the residential target in the near future. So in terms of the competitive landscape, we're actually one of the first movers in the market. A lot of people actually do the asset play, so they try to own their own assets and basically just build and hold the assets. But what we're trying to do, we actually want to try and match those funding. So we don't actually have to compete with those guys, but we can actually collaborate with funders from overseas and actually match them, matchmake them with actually the projects in Indonesia. So our partners, basically myself, taking care of our financial side, Our co-founder, Edwin, is actually a PhD in solar, so he takes care of all the technical sides. Philip here, my co-founder, he's actually taking care of the EPC relations, so we don't actually construct our own assets, but we actually partner up with EPC companies, because that's how we actually scale in terms of how we can deliver more. We also have our co-founder, Adi, he's our CFO. George is actually previously CEO of DuPont, and he's actually taking care of the marketing side of things. Jimmy is actually our VP of sales. He owns a bottling manufacturing company. So we have got good traction, and maybe just to give you some idea of like our customers, we now have 52 customers in operation. That's a Toyota Chusho company. Sorry.
30 seconds more?
Yeah,
Or
go for
clear
it.
enough?
Okay.
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
Thank you. And this is just a bit more about our projects. So that's a Honda company. Chemco is a Honda company. Awindo is a Netherlands company. So they go 700 kilowatts. Sorry. One of our largest project, actually single largest project of solar power company in Indonesia is Platinum. That's 5.6 megawatt going up to about 7 megawatts. That's the largest in Indonesia. We also have the supplier of Adidas here, Penn Brothers. And that's our...
Yay, big applause to Surya Daya Indonesia. Now we have 3 minutes to hear the question. Andrew, this is your time.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing the vision with us. Really impressive. I'd love to understand a little bit more about the financial traction and the business model specifically. So where exactly are you pulling margin from? How much of it is on the financing side? How much of it is on actual power purchase agreements?
Sorry, I'm just gonna... Okay, so basically the traction right now we have about 50 megawatts operational as of December. 50 megawatts awarded, out of which 27 megawatts is operational. Today we already have about 80 megawatts awarded in our books. So the business model is actually two streams of income. So the first one is we actually are a developer. So we aggregate projects, and for the origination, when we sell the projects, we get the origination fee. That's what we call the first year revenue. Compared to our CAC, it's actually quite big, but basically our first year revenue margins would more or less cover our CAC. But the second revenue stream is actually where it gets interesting, because after we sell the assets to an asset company, this is what we call it here, is where we actually get 25-year stream of cash flow from the customers. So our typical contracts would go from anywhere from 20 years to 30 years. So it's a pretty long contract, recurring revenue based on kilowatt hour basis. The customer will have to pay 2 streams of cash flow, one to the asset company for leasing the assets, and the other one for the development company, which is Surya. So that's why we make our margins. That would be about 40% gross margin in the longer run. But I think initially we need a lot of capital upfront. So that was our initial 2 business models. What we are trying to move towards is actually business model number 2, where what we saw is that the assets actually take about maybe $600,000 to build, $700,000 to build, but on the public markets, they're actually trading for about $1.5 million per megawatt. So we saw that we're giving up a lot of value to actually our investors. What we're trying to do in the next stage is actually we're going to become a bridge company. So we built our own asset company, partly, that we aggregate the projects in one SPV. And with the thinking that within 1 year or 2 years, we will actually sell it off for hopefully more margin than what we used to make in the origination fee. So that's typically how we do it. Thank you very much.
You still have 50 seconds?
So yeah, I guess in terms of the traction right now, basically it's, we're just trying to build the second one. So today, the first project, the first asset company is already 30 megawatts. The second asset company we're building is about 50 megawatts. So that's about $50 million worth of assets.
You're done? Okay, wonderful answer. Thank you, judges. And now the audience will have 1 minute to scan. Please decide on the QR code on the screen. Surya Daya Indonesia, pioneering the zero investment, now switching to solar energy. Very interesting. Please give your best score, ladies and gentlemen. Last 5 seconds. Okay, time's up. Next, we would like to invite 100 Energy GmbH from Germany. The screen is yours.
Thanks a lot. Can you hear me?
We can.
Perfect. Well, first of all, let me extend my greetings from Germany, Europe, actually, where it's still early Saturday. I hope that you have a wonderful conference, a very fruitful time in Bali. I wish I could be there, but nevertheless, all the best to everybody on site. I represent 100, which is a German word. In English, it means 100. It stands for our ambition to drive the real estate sector towards 100% green energy and 100% digital energy services. Our vision is to power the energy revolution in real estate. Next, please. Just to give you a bit of background, I think most of you are well aware that the building sector, so the heating and the electricity provision for buildings actually is responsible for a major share of CO2 emissions. Around the globe, it's about 30%, and it's more or less the same in most regions. And that is the motivation for 100. We want to tackle the CO2 emissions in the operation of buildings. Next, please. So what do we actually do? We help real estate companies to decarbonize their building portfolios with solar electrification. So a bit related to what we have just heard in the pitch before, but in a different segment. We are helping the owners of multi-tenant buildings, so multi-tenant residential and multi-tenant commercial buildings, to implement solar systems across their building portfolios, to also implement a digital energy metering infrastructure so that all energy flows can be managed and monitored in real time. And also we integrate heat pumps and e-charging stations so that we help to electrify not only the mobility side, but also the heating side, and ultimately arrive at zero carbon building portfolios. Next, please. This sounds very nice, but the real challenge is how do we make it scalable? Because you can only change one building at a time, put one solar system at a time. And so the trick really is about having an end-to-end service, which makes it easy for real estate companies to decarbonize at scale. And for this, we have developed and we are scaling an end-to-end service stack. So we start with consultation, which essentially means that we have a software-based approach to scan the building portfolios of our clients and to understand where we can actually put solar, what the benefit will be for the client. And so we have an assessment process, which is really streamlined and scalable. And then we go all the way down to planning and installing the solar systems, the digital smart metering infrastructure, and then we integrate all the energy data and all the energy flows into our own software stack, where we make all the invoicing, the balancing, the energy procurement, and so on. So it's really an end-to-end solution, which makes it very simple and attractive for real estate companies to roll out solar supply across their buildings. Next, please. And of course, the magic is all in the technology base. Our service has some manual aspects. You have to have solar installation. You have to do some service processes. So it's not that it's purely a software business, but it is software based. So we have essentially 4 pillars in our software stack. The one is the building analysis and quote generator, which makes it very scalable and easy to assess buildings and actually calculate the cost and the value of implementing a solar-based supply. Then on the right top side, we have a service workflow engine, which makes it very streamlined and efficient for us to operate the systems, to service the end users that live in those buildings. And then on the left bottom side, we have our building energy operating system, which is our proprietary system, where all the energy flows are actually being monitored and turned into invoices and calculations that we need also towards the grid operators. And then ultimately at the bottom right side, we have our own app towards the users that live or work in those buildings so that they know in real time, what is my energy cost and what are my savings in terms of CO2. Next, please. We have a very experienced team from some of Germany's and Europe's most experienced utilities and other tech companies that we assemble. We are now more than 80 people with strong investors that closed our Series A this year. And then next, please. We are already working with more than 60
Okay, how's the judges? 30 seconds
leading
more
real
or clear enough?
30 seconds, yeah.
Sure, please continue.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, just to sum up here, we have now about 600 buildings live and onboarding, and we're scaling exponentially at this point, have a really booming building order pipeline. As you can imagine, further stimulated and booming due to the very severe energy crisis that we have in Europe, where our electricity on the roof is more needed than ever. And we work with many of Germany's most advanced and leading real estate and energy companies.
Big applause for 800 Energy GmbH from Germany. Julia, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. Very, very interesting pitch. You didn't tell us too much about the markets you're targeting. Can you tell us a little bit more about, cities, municipalities you're working in Germany, maybe the EU level, even beyond? So what's the situation now, and what's your plan for the future over the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years in terms of market expansion? Over to you.
Yes, sure. So our focus is really on professional real estate companies who have at least 1,000 apartments under management. So we're talking about, the biggest one is, for example, Vonovia. You have some that are private or publicly listed. Then you have some that belong to the municipalities. But it's always about companies that own and operate many, many buildings, typically housing, but also office buildings, so that we can scale our service in the portfolios of our clients. And we want to stay in that segment, in the B2B segment. Our next expansion will actually be to have our own heat servicing, so a heat pump service on top of the solar system service, because replacing the gas and oil heating with heat pumps is the big thing for our clients now. And then ultimately, our goal is to also go beyond Germany and tackle some of the other European markets.
You still have 2 minutes. Anything you want to add?
Sure. If there's no other question, I can expand on that for sure. Maybe just to give you an idea of our business model, it's somewhat similar to what has been mentioned before, but a bigger focus on the recurring revenue side. So we initially plan and sell the systems. We have now set up our own financing vehicle together with Triodos Bank for about 70 million initially. So we're selling the systems to our own fund, where we are a minority shareholder. And then we lease them back to our company so that we can operate the systems and sell the electricity over 25 years. So we are the exclusive electricity provider in those buildings over the next 25 years. And of course, everything that happens now in terms of e-mobility and heat pumps is actually adding to the value that we create per building. And so typically we have about 25K per building initial revenue, and then right now about 5 to 8K per year in recurring revenues. And so the target for us really is to increase the value per building, but most importantly, to have as many buildings under management as possible. And maybe to just add one more thing in terms of the scalability and the service stack. I think this is really what sets us apart from, the incumbents that are there. In Germany, you have, for example, lots of municipal utilities and so on. But difference is that we have specifically built a software and process stack which is tailored to rolling out decentral electricity supply in multi-tenant buildings. And this is really what all the incumbents in the utility market don't have, because their energy systems are fully focused, or that their billing systems and software systems are fully focused on a commodity energy supply. And so that's why we believe we have better effects in terms of economies of scale, efficiency, and also service experience.
Still 20 seconds?
That's all I had to say.
That's okay. Thank you for your answer. Great presentation.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, audience, this is the time for you to decide for 800. Please scan the QR code on the screen. Inhunder Energy develops smart services around green and digital energy supply for tenants. Great idea. The last 20 seconds. Okay, time's up. Next, we'd like to invite Sosial from Russia.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Alex with Sosial, and we are making organic waste recycling profitable. And what is organic waste? Each of us generates organic waste that can be food scraps, organic fraction of municipal solid waste, wastewater, and so on. Next slide, please. One of the most convenient ways to deal with organic waste, next slide, please, is the anaerobic digestion or the biogas plants. Biogas plant is just a huge tank where waste is broken down into the clean energy and organic fertilizer by the bacteria. And inefficiency of the biogas plants is based on their long and incomplete organic waste processing. Next slide, please. Our solution for the organic waste, for the biogas plants inefficiency is based on the Sosial biomass treatment model. It is the plug-and-play solution that can be installed on any existing biogas plant, wastewater treatment facility, biorefinery, and so on. And our model improves both amount of clean energy generated from the same amount of organic waste, and also it speeds up the digestion process. Next slide, please. How does it work? Biogas plant is like the digestive system, and our model is in turn like teeth that chew the food before it gets into the stomach. In other words, model combines 5 pre-treatment stages based on the hydrodynamic filtration approach. And next slide, please. Combination of all these steps provides the synergy that is our competitive advantage compared to our solution that works in this area. And that allows us to be more energy efficient compared to our competitors. Next slide, please. Our customers receive about 25 to 30% of clean energy increase if they are using our solution. Next slide, please. And our customers are owners and suppliers of the biogas plants. Next slide, please. Throughout Europe, and Europe is our main market as it has the largest share of agricultural biogas plants installed. Next slide, please. Our traction, here you can see our patent portfolio. We have 9 patents and counting. Next slide. And our customers, we have customers in 8 countries. Core market here is Germany. And business model is based on the hardware product sales, on the services sales. And next slide, please. Also, we are developing the software solution. Next slide. As we are measuring all the feedstock parameters, we're developing the cloud platform for the biogas plant owners with the recommendations how to operate the biogas plants based on the information that we got from this organic waste. Next, please. Our team includes 10 experienced professionals covering all major areas of competence from R&D to production.
Okay, time's up. Judges, please decide.
Yeah, please continue.
Yeah, thank you. So our team is covering all major areas of competence from R&D to production and international business development. And also we are supported by our brilliant advisory board. And the last slide, please. And our development plans, including scaling up on the European market, developing our software cloud solution, and entering the Asian market. Now we are in our first.
Okay, big applause for Sosial from Russia. Now we have 3 minutes. Andrew, your question, please.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing the company vision with us. Really appreciate it. I guess two things I'd like to dig into a little bit deeper. The first one, you mentioned you have customers in 8 countries. I'd love to just understand where you are from a traction perspective in terms of the business overall. So what does that look like from a revenue standpoint? And then the second question I have is sort of also 2 components. What do the gross margins of your business look like? And then when the customer makes their purchasing decision, what is their payback period and what does their margin on the purchase look like, right? Because they're purchasing the equipment and they're obviously hoping for a return on that investment as well.
Okay, thank you for your question, Andrew. Firstly, our customers, yes, we have in 8 countries, but the core market for now is the Germany. We have 5 live installations there, and pipeline is till the end of this year for more installation. So we are growing about 100% a year in terms both of revenue and installation base. And Germany is the core market for now because it has about 10,000 of the agricultural biogas plants. Next step after the Germany is also in other countries that we had first installations. Netherlands, UK, and also United States that we had a biorefinery first installation there. And also Cambodia, for example, just a new step for us. Regarding the financial aspect that you are asked as well. So yes, customer gets a payback after he is installed our system in about it is different for any customer of course, but payback period is about 2 years, and our revenue streams is based about 10 maybe 20% is the profits from the equipment sales, but main revenue streams is the recurring revenue as we are producing and selling the spare parts, our services, and the most importantly, the new product, this cloud service that we have a recurring revenue stream from as well. So hopefully I answered your question.
You still have 50 seconds?
Okay, and yes, if there are no more additional questions, I can expand into the previous one. So for the customer, why it is a bit different for any customer. Each biogas plant or biorefinery can have a different business model, and we adjust our solution to it. It may be gate fee, or it may be selling of the electricity into the grid, or it may be producing of the renewable gas and selling it into the pipeline. And all these cases are a bit different, but we work equally successfully with them as well.
Okay, time's up. Thank you once again for Sosial from Russia. And then audience, this is your time again to scan the QR code and give the best score for Sosial. Sosial makes organic waste disposal profitable through innovative waste recycling technology. Please give your best score for a great idea from Russia. Last 10 seconds. Okay, time's up, and we will move to Laska Energy from Turkey.
Hello, I want to turn off my camera to prevent any connection problems, sorry.
No problem, we can hear you.
Okay, I can start, I guess. Hello again, I'm Elena from Laska and I work on the business development side. I have one question for all first. Do you know what happens to your end-of-life tires of vehicles? Most people have no idea about this. As Laska, we have the technology for reinventing the afterlife of best tires. Next slide, please. Our team consists of 15 people who are highly experienced in their fields, including the management and technical team. Onur Güde is the founder of Laska, and he has been developing the project for more than 10 years. Next slide, please. As Laska, we are a high-tech company that upcycles end-of-life tires with our innovative, environmentally friendly and sustainable production approach and brings them back to the economy as raw materials, which are carbon black and renewable fuel. Our products are normally obtained from fossil fuels by traditional production methods, but we obtain them from waste tires. In this way, we prevent the dirty and costly results of traditional production methods. That's to say, we supply greater efficiency and productivity in waste tire management with the help of our green technology. In this way, we recover maximum resource, leading to a circular economy and creating a huge environmental impact. Next slide, please. The waste tire problem keeps the whole world under a massive threat. There occur at least 1.5 billion waste tires worldwide annually. The number of this in Turkey is nearly 25 billion. These tires, which are mostly burnt in cement factories or thrown into nature, cause environmental problems, including polluted resources, climate action, and hazardous emissions. Also, burning waste tires leads to loss of economically valuable materials. Next slide, please. We convert an entire tire into different outputs with high yields. First, we separate these tires into their components. Apart from steel, we obtain renewable fuel and carbon black. Carbon black is used as a raw material and additive in the rubber and plastic industries. All the black plastics you see around you include carbon black in them. It also has a wide range of uses in the automotive industry. Our renewable fuel will replace fossil fuel used in energy, transportation sectors, and the chemical industry. Also, it may be converted directly into electrical energy. It's a kind of clean energy source that can be used instead of fossil fuel or natural gas. Next slide, please. At this point, the solution of Laska contributes to 9 of 17 Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations. Next slide, please. We can convert 1 million tires a year, and there are huge tire cemeteries all around the world. For example, Kuwait has 55 million stocks, and they don't have the developed technology for the solution. For this reason, the waste tire problem in this country has turned into an environmental disaster. Next slide, please. Based on this case study, if we upcycle these tires, we save around 730 hectares of land, prevent almost 500,000 tons of carbon dioxide emissions, and create a huge economic gain. Next slide, please. With our daily production capacity of 30 tons, we obtain 3,500 tons of carbon black and 4,500 tons of clean fuel in a year. Our products are commercial products, and today the selling price of carbon black is 1,200 per ton, and renewable fuel is 750 a ton. The global market value of carbon black is more than $14 billion, with more than 13 million tons of yearly demand, and the global market value of renewable fuel is anticipated to be more than $150 billion in upcoming years. Also, our raw material, waste tires, is increasing with a growth rate of 1% every year. Next slide, please. So far, we have received 2 investment pre-seed and seed round. Our production and sales results after the second investment are as follows. As a result of our B2B model, our main income is the wholesale of products. Next slide, please. We are currently scaling. We have completed the lab scale and moved our production from the MVP stage to mass production in the first quarter of this year. Then we are planning to triple our production capacity in 5 years and split this production to different geographies, including Kuwait, for industrial scaling with the way of building a facility or technology licensing in Europe to scale.
Okay, judges?
Yeah, also for you, 30 seconds to wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you. Next slide, please. competitors are few global actors. They mostly work with companies in the automotive industry. We have cooperations with Fiat and Continental for sustainable material solution at this point. Laska offers innovation and reduced carbon emissions to this industry. Next slide, please. In 2018, we were selected by the European Parliament as one of the 50 startups that can change the world. June 2021, UNDP's BCT18 published one impact report for us to prove our potential impact. We started studies with Continental.
Okay, time's up. Big applause for Laska Energy from Turkey.
Thank you.
Julia, your question, please.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Two questions. First question, I think you covered it a little bit towards the end of your presentation, but can you give us a clearer idea of the typology of your customers? A little bit more on that. And then you briefly mentioned about your R&D activities. Can you also please go a little bit, elaborate a little bit on that? Over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you as well. We have two products. Carbon black is used as a raw material or additive in the rubber and plastic industry. It also has a wide range of uses in the automotive industry. All the black parts of the car that we can see or we cannot see include carbon black. But with traditional production methods, it's obtained from fossil fuels. However, we obtain from them waste tires, and on the carbon black side, our customers is the automotive industry. At this point, we work with Continental and Fiat. Our another product is renewable fuel, and it can be used as a clean energy sources instead of fossil fuel. At this point, we work with some energy groups and some automotive companies for this. R&D studies is so important for us. We continue to develop our Laska at this point. So I hope I can answer your questions.
So I couldn't hear. You were asking something to us?
I couldn't hear you, sorry.
You still have 1.5 minutes.
Well,
is there anything you want to add?
No, thank you. I will not add anything.
Okay, big applause for Laska Energy from Turkey. Now we're back for you, ladies and gentlemen. We have time to decide the best score for Laska Energy. Laska upcycles end-of-life tires with innovative, eco-friendly and sustainable approaches and brings them into the economy as energy and raw materials. Okay, time's up. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And since the committee decided to let startup Farad.ai to present tomorrow, so it means presentation from Laska Energy is the last presentation for today's session. And on behalf of the committee, I would like to thank all of the judges, really appreciate it, Andrew and Julia, and also for all of you, the participants, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time, thank you for your score. And we will see each other tomorrow in the same place and time. For your information, the next item on today's agenda will be the one-on-one business meeting at the BICC Nusantara Foyer. And we also have the gala dinner that will be held at Taman Bagawan at 6 p.m. And shuttle services will be available starting from 5:30 p.m., which you can access from the lobby area. So see you tomorrow. And don't forget to recover together, recover stronger. I am Mariana Kawijaya.